Did you say you have one lens only? You're in the right place. Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thomas Love here from beautiful Vancouver, British Columbia, and today we're gonna see together how to use to the best the Aperture Priority Mode. I know many of you want to go directly into shooting manual. We'll get there, we get you out of auto, but first things first, the Aperture Priority Mode is a very good help, especially if you're shooting street photography. Why is that? Because it's a semi-automatic mode, meaning that you will pick up the f aperture and the camera will give you back the shutter speed that the camera thinks will be optimal for the right exposure. So just a quick example, why do we want to choose the depth of field, why it is so important? Let's see it together. Now we are here, we have different elements at a different distance, and so in the framing I have to do like that because I cannot record from internal, but let's say we are focusing on these three in the shade. I'm wide open right now at f1.7, and as you can see, if we zoom in, only the tree is well defined, while all the other elements in the picture are blurred. Now we will move down to f5.6 as an example. We take the exact same picture. As you can see now, the shutter speed went down to 1/40th of a second. So I hope I'm not introducing motion blur. We double check the picture once again. And as you can see now, the tree is well defined, but also the background starts to be more visible, more defined, less blurred. Let's move all the way down to f16 right now. We take the exact same picture. As you can see, the shutter speed is now 0.4 seconds. It's not enough for me to avoid motion blur, so let's say we move up to ISO 200. I take the exact same picture as before, and now we double check together, and as you can see, the tree is well defined and also the elements in the background. So this was a very quick and rough experiment to show you why it is so important to pick up the right depth of field before taking any picture, any photo, any shot. The other thing you will have to choose is whether you want to pick up the ISO manually or if you want it automatically managed by the camera. In this case, I can put a cap, so I can tell my camera, please do not ever overcome that value. That might be 1200, 1600s, but I prefer to choose the ISO manually because I think I can be smarter than my camera. But anyway, let's see point by point with a few examples together. Let's say we are walking around in the city and we want to use an f aperture of 5.6 because we don't want too much bokeh effect, but we also need a bit of a depth of field, so it cannot be too shallow. So you're walking around in the city, and in this case I'm in the shade, and so the camera says that to have an optimal exposure, in this case I'm having 1/30th of a second, which is fair to me because I have the image stabilization in the lens with this camera, so if I want to shoot a still, that would be good enough. But if I want to shoot something that is moving, an object, a person passing by, then 1/30th of a second will not be fast enough, and so that person, my main subject, will be blurred, and so I will have to adapt the ISO value. In this case, I'm trying to push it a bit from 100 to 400 and see the results. So as you can see right now, the shutter speed the camera comes back with me with is 1/125th of a second. This is not enough, so I might push the ISO again to 800 and see if it's faster. In this case, it's 1/250th of a second. So this is good enough for me to shoot a person passing by, but not a fast moving object. So if the person is walking by, it's okay. If it's running, then I will have to go down with the f value just a tiny bit, let's say from 5.6 to 5, and you see now it's 1/320th of a second. So these are the considerations you will have to do each and every time you want to shoot a picture, a photo. So you pick up the f aperture that you want to have, you double check the shutter speed the camera is coming you with, and then if needed you will have to adapt the ISO. On the other way around, if you are in full sunshine and then you are shooting and you try to limit your ISO because you want to have the less grains possible in your picture, you want to have it very, very clean, and then with this bright light with ISO 100 5.6, it might not be enough. And so let's see what value the camera suggests me. I'm going, and now that I move in full light with ISO 100, it's okay because it's 1/200 of a second. While if you want to go very wide, let's say I want to have a shallow depth of field and a bokeh effect, with f1.7, it's 1/2000 of a second now. But I don't have enough depth of field to shoot a landscape. So I'm moving back down to f5.6, and there you have it. There are cases when it is too fast, let's say faster than 1/2000 of a second, that you want to consider that faster than that you are having an electronic shutter and not a mechanical shutter, so maybe you want to limit that, and so you want to go down with the ISO to ISO 50. In this case I can have ISO 50 in my camera, and maybe you want to close down to f8 or f11. Please remember that these considerations are valid overall, and Aperture Priority Mode is helping you because the camera suggests you the shutter speed. And so this is an intermediate step from automatic to shooting manual. We will get there in the next episode. So now we will see together a few examples of pictures that I've taken with the Aperture Priority Mode. This is so fast and this is so convenient for street photography that is my preferred choice. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please remember to like the video, share it on your social media, subscribe to the channel so you won't miss the new videos to come, and I guess I will see you later. Thank you. Bye.